everyone, and welcome back to another Storytime video. And today I am going to talk about my first day working in IT. Now, whenever I start a brand new thing, whether it's a new job or whether I am doing something for the very first time, I'm of course going to be very nervous. So, going into this day, I was very, very nervous. Now, I think it's partly because now I probably shouldn't be, but I'm a person that kind of doubts themselves. I probably shouldn't. I'm going to be honest, I probably shouldn't doubt myself. But it's just it's just the reality of how I am as a person. Now, uh, so I was very nervous going in to this day to work, but I was also excited because then, I was out of school and I finally got to do what I love in terms of a professional sense. So I get there at uh, uh, 8 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. And of course, I'm ready to go and I'm very excited to do this. Now, I go in and, my supervisor that I had at the time, who I talked about several months ago, was like, hey, basically, we were going more in depth in terms of uh, talking to each other in the office, well, in the IT office, and he was going over some stuff about the company, and he was showing me some stuff, uh, like some of the systems on the computers that they have, and uh, that day was a bunch of trying to set up stuff on my work laptop, because certain things couldn't be set up or weren't going to be set up before I got there, whatnot. So it was just a bunch of updating the laptop and trying to sign in and just trying to understand all the systems and everything that they had there. Uh, I do remember, well, typically when somebody needed something there in terms of IT or somebody else that worked in the office, they would always communicate over walkie talkies. And I distinctly remember that there was somebody who, during a break earlier that morning, very early in the morning, had lost their wallet. And uh, so I knew then and there that, guess what? IT has access to all the cameras at that place. And that was certainly very interesting to learn that IT has access to all the cameras. And so he was trying to look at the cameras and see if, went back to that place in the parking lot and went to that time that the person said that this happened. And so he tried to find where, if his wallet got taken, and by whom, or by whom. I got it right either way. Anyway, uh, and who took it. So by whom, I guess. Anyway, so nothing really clear cut there. But I was basically shadowing him and uh, trying to learn the best that I could. Uh, of course, because whenever you're training with somebody, at least for me anyway, I try to be like a sponge, where I try to soak up as much information as possible. Because even if I had previous IT experience, like that's not the only IT job that I've worked, by the way. Um, I um I still go in there with a mindset like a sponge. Like, hey, in order to be really successful at this job, I have to soak in as much information as I can in order to really be successful. And I've gotten compliments about how quickly I learn and am able to pick up on things. Now, this is not a video where I'm just going to stroke my own ego. I don't need that. I don't need that. I have enough people around me to do that for me. So I don't need to stroke my own ego. But and by the way, before I forget, I will say that on those cameras, I did see some stuff. Like some disturbing stuff, some funny stuff, just everything. And there's going to be one day where I need to talk about well, as much as I can, because some stuff I just can't, but as much stuff as I can uh, over those cameras, like what I saw. I'm not going to go into details here, but anyway, so um thankfully throughout the day my confidence started to grow whenever I'm like, oh, so I can look up X, Y, and Z after not knowing that that even existed, because that was primarily proprietary systems, which is why like the ticketing systems were uh, which the ticketing system there was proprietary. uh the way that you did work and keeping track of the parts, because this was for an automotive factory. So being able to keep track of inventory and everything, that was also proprietary. Whether it was in the one system, well, the one system was definitely proprietary. Um, and but my confidence grew more and more because I guess I have a tendency, well, I do have a tendency to overthink things. And I guess I thought that this job was going to be some very complex job, when in reality it was a standard entry level position where I don't want to say you do nothing, but you only really work when you're needed. And for a first job, at least to get some experience in the IT field, that's great. That's really what you want. Um, and it was great experience that certainly worked as a building block to everything else. Now, I wouldn't exactly want to do uh that. I don't want to work an entry level job forever, of course, which I am working on that. Uh, More on that later on this year. Uh, but anyway, uh, so, but because, you're not going to be able to be a system administrator, a network administrator, you're not going to be able to work in cybersecurity or be able to run a server or run cables for people. Well, maybe you could run cables, but your system and your sysadmin, your net admin, your cybersecurity, stuff like that where you might really want to get into that, more than likely, you're not going to be able to do that right off the bat. And I can't stress that enough. Every time I talk about jobs or whatnot in depth in terms of IT, I always talk about that because I always hate for people, especially when they're knowledgeable people, to graduate IT and then they don't get the job that they want. Like, I eventually want to do cybersecurity or work as a system administrator. Now, the thing is that, you know, I knew that I wasn't going to get that job right away. And, eventually I'll have that kind of job, but not now, not right now. Um but yeah. Ultimately, I did not like my first IT job, but it was good experience, and every IT job that I've had since then, I have really, really enjoyed. So, anyway, that will do it for me today. And CS guys, I do believe that will do it for this storytime video and select storytime video. I will see you later. Goodbye, guys. Thank you all for watching. And